Hello, my fellow felines, and welcome to another edition of the Almond View podcast with myself, Liam Innes, my co-host, Jake Pointer.
Hello there.
And Dweeby panellists, Thomas Fro, Owen Innes, and Mr. Stephen Povey.
Hello there!
Hey, hello.
We don't have any special guests joining us this week, but you don't need guests to have fun, and baby, are we going to take you on a wild content-based ride.
This week we will discuss Livingston's terrific top 6 spot that was finally confirmed with a long-awaited victory against Hamilton Accy. We'll also be having another session in Cherif Court, discussing Twitter tattle and the pesky Old Firm Colt teams.
And finally, we discuss a few of those ex-pros that have played for both the luscious Lions and Edinburgh's permanent whinging wee gimps, the Hibs.
So get the keys, stick them in the ignition, turn those babies clockwise, fasten your seatbelt and get ready for the ride of your life whilst you listen to 5 virgins talk all things Livingston FC here on the Almond View podcast.
I've just never had sex with her. Well, it finally happened. Celebrate good times, come on! Livingston have made the top 6 for the second consecutive season after a 2-1 win against Hamilton at the Macarena on Saturday, thanks to goals from the Jet baby and Scott the Pitman. The team finally got back to winning ways, and baby, what a feeling it was. Thomas, what do you have about that game from Saturday?
A few weeks ago, I argued the case for J. Emmanuel Thomas to be in the starting 11, and I was promptly destroyed by an Eminem-esque diss. But I feel vindicated with that goal at the weekend. The touch, the flick up, the turn into the top bins, you just can't beat it. It was like we'd signed Thierry Henry, prime Thierry Henry. Well, maybe not prime, maybe just after his prime.
Steady.
But MLS Thierry Henry.
Yeah, MLS Thierry Henry, yeah. But, you know, it was just, after the last few weeks, it's just been so shit. And, you know, just seeing a bit of quality, you know, maybe not too expected on recent performances, but seeing a bit of quality and just something to get you going a little bit, I think was brilliant. So Jet's goal was my moment of the 2 games. It might be a lot of your moments of the game. Sorry, might be a lot of your moments as well. But it was just brilliant. It was good to get out the seat and celebrate something. You know, it's one of those goals that you'll remember for a while, and plenty of media coverage around it. It's just brilliant. So yeah, J. Emmanuel Thomas, what a guy.
I mean, where the fuck did that come from?
No idea.
It was just so weird, man. Like, I mean, he's shown flashes of brilliance, and that's the thing. For the next 6 weeks, we will not see anything of him again until our next until we need something again. He's come up in fairly big games, Celtic, Killie away, and now Hamilton, that we needed at least a point by. Fair play. What a goal. Povey, what do you have to say on the game? I'm sure that you're desperate to get some jet bashing in somewhere.
Well, I do have to obviously compliment what a bloody goal it was. It was amazing. It was outstanding. However, I do have to counter that. Before I say about how bloody amazing it is finishing top 6 and how amazing it was to beat the mighty Hamilton 2-1, I need to talk about Jet. He had his best game, was undoubtedly his best game. However, I do still think, I reckon he is best just put him up front, but then he passed to him. Certainly don't play the long ball to him. Although he did win headers, like 2 in the whole game, which I was amazed at for like the first time ever. But like, oh, you know what? Just like play it out to Sibs and Forrest like, or whoever's playing. And then, you know what? Didn't even pass to him. Just keep him in the box. And then if it lands near him, then cool. Do your on-re stuff and score. But I still think he's useless, to be honest. It's still like having a man down. But yeah, so yeah, very good, Jet. I tell you what, he didn't have milk it. Like, he was all over the social media. Like, I know. But anyway, on that point, what I was saying, Forrest starting was a huge thing for me. I've been banging on about that for ages. I actually thought he played really well. I know he got subbed off, still didn't get a full 90 minutes, but I was delighted to see him play. And there was just performers from all over the park. I'd say happy with Forrest. And Devlin was another outstanding player. However, I do think we just need a wee bit, like, it was only Hamilton, you know? I don't want to be the Mr. Miserable. I'm buzzing off the back of the win. But geez, it was only Hamilton. And yeah, I just hope that we can crack on now. But yeah, buzzing we're top 6. It was awesome.
What I was going to say was your last point there. It was only Hamilton, you know, but Hamilton have beat us at home already this season. We've been struggling. And what I said last week with the stuff that was cut out with when we predicted the Hamilton game, I remember saying to you last week that I thought we would get a 0-0 draw or a 1-1. Like, we'd get enough to get us into the top 6. But then after that, we'd kick on because now the pressure's off. But I think now that we've got the win, that might set us up for the rest of the season. And I think, touchwood, that we'll do just that. I think you'll see us stepping up a wee bit now again, and pressure's off, top 6 confirmed, brilliant season, cup final. Let's just try and get into Europe, boys. It would be fucking unbelievable. Jake, what about yourself? What was the moment from the game for you?
I think instead of just kind of picking out too many individual performances, I think just the whole energy of the team, I think that's kind of what we've been lacking for the last few whiles, the pace of when the ball's going out, right, grabbing the ball, throw it out, passing and moving a lot quicker, and that's how we kind of break teams down. And then, for example, I know I said I would talk about individuals, but Devlin, being really direct, just going, let's take a gamble. And it's that a bit of gambling, Jet doing that mental move, a total gamble, but it paid off. I just don't, I think we've been too scared to gamble over the past month, and it's cost us because we've not been able to take an opportunity. So I felt they just kind of went for it a bit more, and it was better. I thought Jackson Longridge, I'm not really his biggest fan, but I thought he had quite a good game. Felt Serrano needed a break, and yeah, for him to maybe kind of go, shit, I'm not guaranteed a spot every week. Overall good. Yeah, sorry to be doom and gloom, but again, it was just Hamilton, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but I think I totally agree with you, Liam, that I think this is going to spur us on, going, right, we can play like this again, doing this same system. And what we said about going back to the basics, we did that. That's exactly what we've been doing when we were playing well. We went back to that. So yeah, hopefully it spurs it on. I'm absolutely buzzing for the Hibs game on Saturday. That'll be a real test. You know what? I think we'll beat them. I've got good feels about it. So good feels, man. I feel it in my blood.
It's hard to disagree with you. For me, I think the moment for me, I think it was probably just the second half as a whole. It's weird that we scored 2 goals in the first half, and I felt like there was a lot more danger in the first half. Like, Hamilton scored that goal. Well, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was a great goal, great finish. But Livy weren't really sort of up to much, like, in spells in that first half. But when we did do something, we scored 2 goals, which is something that we've not done for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second half, I have to agree, I'm not a Jackson Longridge fan. I don't know why. I've just never, ever rated him. Never rated him. And then the first half, his first couple of touches were like, he put in a couple of good challenges, but then you looked at what the play before those challenges, and it was him miscontrolling the ball. It was his own fault that he had to sort of recover. But in the second half, I just thought he was solid as anything. And I hope that on Saturday against Hibs, we actually just go for the same lineup. I know I would love to have Josh Mullen back in, but I mean, one change maybe, and bringing in Mullen because he just destroyed Hibs the last time. But like, if we just start tinkering about again, and then you see all of a sudden Aaron Taylor-Sinclair's playing at right back, Jack McMillan's playing up front, like just stuff like this that you know is going to happen. Like, but you just want a steady. I think now the last 7 games or 6 games of the season, just go with the best 11. Go with who's won you a game, because that's where a lot of the issues have come from, which we will touch on later. Yes, Paul.
I would just disagree with that, to be honest. I don't think that team would beat Hibs. I would start Mullen, as you said. Like you mentioned, Mullen. I would start him. I didn't think Holt particularly played amazing. He's consistently been there this season, but for me, I would start with similar, but I'd put Sibs in where Holt was. I'd put Mullen in and Jet, and that's off. Just get Poplatnik up top.
Owen, what about yourself? What were your moments of the game?
I think kind of just echoing what Jake was saying, the confidence. It just seemed as though the team was a lot more confident on Saturday there. There was only one person that I thought throughout the course of the entire game that didn't have a great game, and it was very unusual for him, and that was Craig Sibbald. I thought in the previous games, Craig Sibbald, like on our wee losing streak that we had going there, Craig Sibbald was the best player on the pitch for us. I don't think many of us would disagree with that. And then on Saturday there, everyone else was really good, and Sibbald kind of just drifted through the game. He still did. He did what he needed to do, and obviously whatever it was he did. But I mean, he went unnoticed. There wasn't anything really kind of like spectacular from Sibbald, which, you know, usually there's a couple of wee moments. But yeah, just the confidence oozing through the side. I mean, yeah, the goal from Jet is... I mean, you can't really say very much. It went in and I was just like, oofed. You know, you can't... That's a cracking goal, and it's probably one of the best goals that I've seen scored at Almond Vale. And I think... what was it? I think I had a kind of wee to and fro with a Dumbarton fan. And a Dumbarton fan said, that must be the second best goal scored at that end of Almondvale. Obviously, with them referring to the Brian Prunty overhead kick back in the day. And I was like, well, nah, that's possibly the third best, because Stuart Lovell scored the overhead kick against Rangers down there. You know, the Brian Prunty overhead kick is pretty fucking spectacular. But the way that I look at it is, he scored that goal against Andy McNeil in like League One. You know, there's a slight difference. But Jet's goal was cracking. Pittman looked back to his best. I think that was, and that's a positive thing. You know, even just after we scored, or after Jet scored, he had that shot from outside the box, and Pittman doesn't obviously. I didn't actually realise that Pittman had scored that many goals. He scored 15 top-flight goals, which is crazy to think, because Pittman's goals always seem to kind of fly under the radar. It's always like either first game of the season or in the playoffs is kind of, you know, when he scored. But I thought Pittman was back to his best. Touching on the Liam Innes lookalike Jackson Longridge at left back as well, I thought he had a good game. Devlin had his probably best game for us as well, and I've been quite critical of Devlin in the past. Didn't think he was, again, his crossing is pretty poor, but yeah, I thought he was phenomenal. I just thought the team had confidence that they could go out and win, but again, fair enough, it was against Hamilton. But.
Yes, and also while we're on the subject of Craig Sibbald, we will we will be expecting your photo with your Player of the Month award for last month. You're being very rude, Craig Sibbald. And we're
Very
not too happy
bad
about it.
Bad boy.
Do we think he's not performing so well because he was the Amon View Player of the Month? Let's
Yeah, the curse of the Player of the Month
The
award.
curse.
That's what it must be.
Yeah.
The curse of
Yeah.
the Player of the Month
Must
award.
be.
I mean, look what happened with Robbo.
Let me touch on that just now. So before we move on, Povey, you've mentioned the dreaded curse of the Amond View Player of the Month award. We've had a question from a listener, I think our only listener, asking what we think about the Robbo rumours. Now, we have it on good authority that your man Robbo has been flashed a move to Motherwell and he's jumped at the chance to play for a team that's made up of Livingston players. Now, we can't confirm if that's true, but the source that we have is usually pretty good. So what are we thinking, boys? Are we ready to just put Robbo in the bin? Or are you hoping that there's going to be some sort of forgiveness from Martindale for the fallout? Owen?
Robbo is a good player. I mean, we've seen that from... He ripped us a new arsehole when he played for East Fife in League One. At the end of the day, I mean, he's coming into his 30s now. He's coming towards the end of his career. He wants to earn money. Livingston is not a team that people move to make money. So if Motherwell are offering, or any other team, it could even be a team in the Championship. We know that he's got ties to Hearts as well. So he could always head back there. But if he's being offered more money elsewhere, fair play to him. But if the reason why he's been dropped is because he's taken a huff against Rangers, no person who ever gets subbed on wants to get subbed back off. I mean, we all know that. That's just, it's like chipping a goalkeeper in training. You just don't sort of do it. But at the end of the day, if he's in a huff about it and that's his attitude about it, sorry, but fuck off. Fuck off at the club. If you don't want to be there, fuck off. Simple as that.
Thomas, have you got anything?
I kind of agree with Owen, to be honest. I think it's a shame. He's been good. He's really, showed some good form this season and turned into a cracking wee player. And I've always kind of got behind him, even when he wasn't playing so well. I thought he was good, but he's not irreplaceable. You know what I mean? We lost a player much better last season in Lyndon Dykes, and Robbo kind of filled that hole a little bit.
I thought you were going to say Dolly Menga.
I think Dolly Menga coming back could be the replacement for Robbo. I think that's a great shout, Povey. Good suggestion. We'll put that to the club. But no, we've lost better players before recently, and we've done okay. So I think it actually gives us the opportunity to bring in a striker, because I think obviously signing Ryo this season, he's been unfortunate with injury. We don't have a kind of decent out-and-out striker that's kind of recognised for playing up here. Now, I know they're kind of few and far between, but, maybe there's an option to get one of them. Or, Jack Hamilton, give him the number 9 and give him a good run of games at the start of next season. See how he gets on. And then, there's always the opportunity to bring in someone else as well. So it is what it is. It's shit. I'd like to have seen him sign a new contract, but see you later. Go and finish bottom 6 with that shite mob.
Has anyone got anything else on wee Scotty Turncoat Robinson, Jakey boy?
Nothing too much. Just I remember, I think it was before we even actually started this podcast, I gave Robbo it absolutely stinking every single week. I hated him. I hated when he started. It used to piss me off so much. And Povey was always just like, shut it. He's good. He's going to get good. He's going to play well. And I was like, no. It's shit for our style of play. I don't get it. And he's been amazing this season. It's a shame he's going. But I kind of feel like he'll potentially play in the next we will. I don't know. I have a feeling that he won't. That'll be completely him. But yeah, shame to have him go. But I think Thomas absolutely hit the total nail on the head about with Jack Hamilton and potentially bringing in someone new because he won't be there. And we've survived worse. So, aye, cheers, Robo. But enjoy Motherwell, you wee fanny.
I would like to, just on what you were saying there, Jake. I mean, I really think he has been one of the gems of the season. I don't think we would be where we are without him. I think is obviously all those important goals he scored was during that amazing run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of him. I'm gutted that this has happened. I don't get why it's happened. There must have been a stinking fallout for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think looking back, I'm still obviously gutted about the cup final deep down. But see, when I reflect on that cup final, I always think he really was going for it. He gave his all.
Mm-hmm.
He gave on the face of it, just watching the game, he seemed to give a lot more than some of the rest of the team. I'm gutted. I do actually. I never thought on it really until you lads were saying there, like, fuck him if he does go, especially if he goes to Motherwell. Like, yeah, you're right. Actually, I won't care anymore. But I think it's this limbo sort of thing because he's kind of. We don't really know if he's. I mean, I really hope what Jake said. He does come back and he finishes the season because he's had a goddamn good season.
Mm-hmm. Give him. I think a send off he deserves. I think him getting to at least come back and play some of the games for sure.
You just also need to remember as well. I mean, it was maybe a wee bit harsh to say, just fuck off, but we do need to remember that he's given us some very, very special moments as Livingston fans. He scored the first goal for Livingston back up in the Premier League. He scored the first goal when we beat Celtic for the first ever time, and what a finish that was. He scored some absolute corkers this season as well. Kilmarnock, namely. And he also scored us the goal that got us to the final, which now obviously seems completely fucking pointless because all we wanted to do was shut out Sean fucking Rooney. But, he's given us some special time. So, if he does move on, he's fair play to him. But
even prior to the Premier League, you're bang on. He's one of the boys that's been through us during this incredible era.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't like the way this was ending. It's like he's given so much to this club,
mm-hmm.
and for it to end sour, nah, I'm not that happy with it.
I say, order now, people, order. Welcome back to Cherif Court, the place we come to discuss our unwanted opinions regarding Livingston and Scottish football as a whole. Named after the one, the only, number 91, Cherif Touré, my man. This week, I will be arguing why we need to keep performances in perspective as we are flying at the minute as a wee club. And Owen will argue why we need to let go of it. Aye, but we were in League One 5 years ago. Whenever we put in a shite performance. After that, Povey will be fighting for the old firm Colt teams to join the lower leagues, and Liam will argue why that is the most stupid idea on the earth. This week, our timekeeper and judge will be our main man, Thomas Froh. Each argument will last 45 seconds, and Judge Froh will pick the winner after the head-to-heads. Owen, you're going to start us off.
So, Owen, 45 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
Ready.
Excellent. 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, so the reason why I believe that we should be allowed to criticise the team and players is because at the end of the day, we are the ones that pay the money. The fans are the ones that pay the money, and we are expecting, and it's our money that goes towards the budget for bringing in players and things like that. When players aren't playing well, you don't want them in the team. There are other options out there. For example, why on earth is Jack McMillan not getting a game? Because apparently someone else in the team is better than him, when clearly we're not, when we were in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. At the end of the day, we should be allowed to criticise the players, whether it be on social media or anything like that, because we are the fans, we are the people who pay for it. Players come and go. Who gives a shit? There you go. Boom.
Nice.
I genuinely thought you were going to stop at "We Are the People."
That's amazing.
I might need to change that because someone might edit me into some fucking Rangers podcast and like Livy fans.
We are the people.
We are the people, mate. We are the people.
We are the people. Interesting argument there, Owen. Now, the other side. Jake, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I'm going to smash this out in bullet points. Okay, number 1, we are a small club. 2, who have been through a lot of shite. We've crawled through our way back up to the SPL. 3, we've got a small fan base stuck between mouldy bread that is Glasgow and Edinburgh. We were in League One 5 years ago. Next, we have a budget of $1 million a year, which is similar to Hamilton, and Hamilton are proper pish. So, yeah. Maybe the next one. We have a very small chance of Europe. We don't have a standout player. Our most expensive player is Jack Fitzwater, and he's a fucking fringe player. We've had 2 top 6 finishes. It's absolutely incredible. We have a few bad weeks. We might lose games, but believe in our Lord, our saviour, Sir David Martindale.
Okay, so some 2 fascinating arguments there from Jake and Owen. I'm kind of struggling here a little bit to go with content or delivery. I think I really need to kind of decide that in my head. You know, from a content perspective, I would probably agree with Owen more. I do think that we should be able to kind of shout about it, but the delivery from Jake was superb. He was right on the money time-wise, and there was some cracking one-liners in there. As far as if anyone's convinced me either way, I'll never be satisfied, even though you know there's good points for either side, but I'll never be satisfied when we're playing poorly like the last month. I think we deserve to kind of shout about it and talk about it more. We should demand to grow, but on the fantastic delivery alone and the mouldy bread between Edinburgh and Glasgow, I'm going for Jake. Sorry, Owen. Well done.
Bullshit. I'm calling fucking bullshit on this.
So next up, one of the hot topics in the media at the moment is discussing the possible inclusion of Colts teams in the lower leagues in Scotland, particularly the Ugly Sisters, the Old Firm. We've got Povey arguing for this motion and Liam arguing against. Povey, you're up first. Are you ready?
Hell yeah, man.
Excellent. Right. 45 seconds on the clock. 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, what Scottish football needs is clearly more Old Firm. See, when I see the Old Firm, I go out of my head. I just can't get enough. Just imagine the thousands of fans travelling around the lower leagues. Imagine the fans that were at George Square, all in Peterhead, all those maddies. Clearly the Rangers Colts getting to the semi-final, the Challenge Cup just proves how amazing Rangers are, In these times when things are so divided, we need more sectarianism. Fuck the shitty other teams, and as Owen would say, we are the people!
I'm editing that out. Fuck off. I was so looking forward to hearing you speak, but that is getting right too far.
Excellent argument, Povey. Absolutely brilliant. Next up, we've got Liam. 45 seconds. Counting down. Are you ready?
I am ready, Thomas.
3, 2, 1, go.
Colt teams would be the death of the local team. Annan, Forfar, Itty Bitty Airdrie. These towns are riddled with armchair Old Firm supporters shouting profanities about our Queen and the Pope. If you give the opportunity for the affordability and accessibility for these armchair fans, they will take the charm out of the lower leagues and the power away from the lower league supporter. The best part about being a lower league fan is not having to deal with these fucking idiots coming to your stadium. It's the worst part of being in the Premiership, and they deserve no place in the lower leagues. We are the people.
Excellent arguments there on a really kind of tough situation for Scottish football. So I have my own opinions on this, but I'm going to kind of leave them at the door because I think I should be judging on the arguments. Liam, I agree with everything you say. It would be an absolute shambles. Povey, your singing voice is bloody marvellous. I can't get over that delivery.
You just can't get enough of it.
I just can't get I just can't get enough of your delivery on that track. I hope you're going to be recording that and putting it on Facebook soon. With the last one, I went with delivery over content. And I think I'm going to continue the trend.
Oh, mate.
I'm sorry, Liam. I'm sorry. I'm giving it to Povey this time.
You've lost your job.
You devenaed me with that pause, you fucking...
I loved it.
There's a lot of things to like about Edinburgh. Laser Quest, the castle, the Cavendish, the homemade steak pie supper from the Castle Fry on the Grass Market, and of course, the legendary Burger King at Waverley Station. However, in equal measures, there's a lot of things to hate about our capital city. That stupid wee Team Hearts, for example. The fact that they were happy to sacrifice a brilliant music venue for a fucking Wetherspoons. Private schools, university students that pronounce the word yeah as ya. Rugger buggers, and of course, those little, diving, cheating bams from Leith, Hibernian FC. However, the two clubs have had a fair few players in common over the years. Some good, some shite, some terrible. So we've asked the boys to tell us their favourite and least favourite Livy Hibs connections. Jake, why don't you tell us your favourite or least favourite Livy Hibs connection?
So this one was as a really, really obvious one I kind of only thought about just before we started. It was Lee Griffiths. Obviously, an absolutely incredible player. He was good for Livy. I mean, absolutely amazing for Hibs. Just hearing stories about Lee Griffiths, I think he's just so interesting. Hearing story about I can't remember what guest was talking about him about the team that were getting that only kind of brought a subpar team. And I was like, okay, we can't play our full team against them. And then first touch of the ball, Lee Griffiths shoots them the halfway line and smashes it top corner. The guy's obviously got ability. And my pal Cammy from work was talking about that he used to he actually had Sparky shaved into the side of his head. I've got quite a lot of time for just being that big level of a bam. Obviously, great player, and to be honest, I reckon he potentially could go back to Hibs and probably next season. So that's my player bringing forward, Lee Griffiths.
That is one that I wish that I thought of. Thomas, what about yourself?
The legend that never was. Played for Hibs, had a good shift there. Played for Livingston, not so good. I'm of course talking about the infamous Anthony Stokes. So with a grand total of 0 appearances for Livingston, because he apparently didn't enjoy training on a plastic pitch and couldn't get fit enough. He didn't really show us what we could do, but I think kind of looking back to when we signed him, I think we knew it could have been a disaster. But I think there was a bit of cautious optimism within the group about him signing. He's a proven goal scorer in Scotland, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. I'm getting a proven goal scorer in. But it just wasn't to be. And I've had a look at his record, and he did well, Hibs and Celtic, and then even kind of afterwards playing at a few different teams. He scored goals, he put the ball in the net. And it was a shame about what happened at Livy. It really was. It was, it could have turned out better. But I think, my favourite Anthony Stokes story is that I think it was it the day before he was released, he was pictured in Edinburgh in a night out with Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, man. What a bowler. What a bowler. I did also read that he was arrested getting off a plane on a flight home from Dubai as well by armed police. because there was a warrant out for his arrest. Something to do with strikers and warrants. It's a truly bizarre player, but one that was certainly a bit of a flop.
Yeah. I completely forgot about Anthony Stokes because, well, he never actually played for us. Povey, who is your Hibs and Livy connection?
Yeah, so this one is a left back from the 2007-8 season. Our left back, Craig James, probably one of the worst players I've seen in a Livy shirt, to be honest. Playing for over a course of a season, if that makes sense. Not just,
yeah.
I mean, he did play most of that season, and I thought he was rubbish, And he early in his career, he was on loan to Hibs. Not that I remember that at all, but his time at Livy, it wasn't a great season for us at 07-08. We were in the first division, pretty close to the relegation spot. Wasn't a great year. He wasn't a great left back. I think it was the same season. I can't really remember. It might have been the season before. It was round about that time, though, we had on loan. And I don't know why I got a wee bit excited at the time, but Patrick Nabusi, who was at Hibs before, I was a wee bit like, oh, yeah, we got him on loan. I don't think he even made hardly any appearances. But I thought when I was thinking of Craig James, Nabusi popped into my head. But yeah, he again didn't really see much of him. But no, Craig James, shout out to him.
I remember Craig James being terrible, and I have a very vivid memory of Patrick Nabusi playing for us on trial in a game. I think it might have been a league game. He then immediately signed for Hibs after that game, and then was immediately sent out on loan to us. I had the same thing. I don't know if it was just because he had a fancy name, and I was like, ooh, Patrice Nabusi. this guy's going to be the man, and then he was fucking terrible.
I don't really remember him doing anything. Certainly didn't live up to that, buzzing about Nabusi.
So my Livy Hibs connection is probably the most heartbreaking as an adolescent. Season 2005-06, Paul Lambert era. We were terrible. Went to school in Edinburgh. Everyone knew how bad Livy were. Me and Jake, only Livy fans in the school, so we would get the brunt of it. So I think it was about October. I don't even think it was the start of the season. Scrolling through BBC News one day, probably on MSN at the same time. Boom. Livy signed Dalglish. I'm thinking, fair play is a bit old, but he could still do a job for us. Turns out it was Paul Dalglish, Kenny Dalglish's son. So, again though, like Patrick Nabusi, because of the name, I was like, fucking yes, man. A Dalglish playing for Livingston. Hadn't played professional football for about 2 years. Signed in October until the December or something that it was announced. Came in, scored in his debut, scored against Hearts. I think he scored a goal against Celtic at Celtic Park. Scored one of the most amazing goals away to Dunfermline. 45 yards into the top bin. This guy's a player. He's going to save our season. Fucking brilliant. Christmas comes round. The 2006 Livy calendar gets released. Paul Dalglish is February. I'm thinking, yes. Go down to the stadium, get it all signed. Brilliant. January comes. Fucking January comes. He signs an extension to the end of the season. I'm thinking, brilliant. Here we go. Paul Dalglish is saving us this season. Middle of January. Paul Dalglish signs for Hibs. The scumbag had the audacity to leave us after we saved his playing career. And I remember getting a massive black marker, scoring out his name, scoring out his face on my calendar, scoring out his signature, writing Judas next to his name. And he went to play for Hibs and done nothing. Because they had Gary O'Connor, Derek Riordan, Chris Killen, Stephen Fletcher. He went to Hibs and he done absolutely nothing. And I have never gotten over it. And he had the audacity to tweet about Livingston the day of the League Cup final, saying, "Oh, good luck, Livy. Oh, good luck to one of my former teams." Fuck off, Paul Dalglish. You're a Judas. And I never want to see your face in Livingston ever again. Right, Owen, who's your favourite Livy Hibs connection?
Well, I made a list before we kind of started about all the players that I could remember, because I think I'm kind of here really to bring all the useless and utterly basically just all of the absolutely useless information to the podcast. So I made a little list of players which haven't been mentioned. Of course, we had Darren Jackson. He was probably one of my favourite players when we were in the first division. Of course, he kind of started with Meadowbank Thistle before moving on and doing stuff as well. So a wee bit more of an elongated Livingston connection. Samuel Morrow. Don't know how many people remember him. He was utter shite.
I remember him, sorry, quickly, because we got him as a replacement for Paul Dalglish.
Paul Dalglish, that was it. I did. Hib sent him on loan to us, didn't he?
And he was
that's what happened.
Fuck him. Fuck Sam Morrow as well. Fuck them both.
Horrendous. So moving on from Samuel Morrow, I then have Callum Booth, who of course had a wee role for St Johnstone in the cup final against us. Callum Booth was a left back, obviously on loan when we were in the third division. He was all right. Ewan Moyes, famous for being another centre back who scored an own goal on his debut. Callum Crane showed very much promise in the trial games, and then he's at Edinburgh City now. Brad Donaldson, who I think was a Gary Boland signing. Jordan Sinclair, again still at Edinburgh City. But the two players that I suppose have kind of memories for me was the goalkeeper Andy McNeil, who actually played against Messi against Barcelona in I think it was a pre-season friendly for Hibs. But there's a famous photograph of Andy McNeil saving a shot by Lionel Messi. Lastly, Sam Stanton. Sam Stanton was brought in at the end of our relegation season, the Birchall season, along with Charlie Telfer on loan. And they were supposed to save the club from relegation, and we all know how that ended up. So, but of all of them, the player that I would choose, actually I'd choose none of them. I wouldn't even choose any of them. Darren Jackson. Darren Jackson's got some good memories for me. Always seemed to score a couple of goals for us. So,
well, that is us for another week. Keep your eyes peeled on our socials for a guest announcement for next week. He's another absolute stoter. Our socials, of course, are Twitter and Instagram at AlmondViewPod. Facebook and YouTube, just search for the Almond View Podcast. And just remember to subscribe where you get your podcast to be updated with our new episodes each week. And make sure, if you haven't before, listen to our old episodes available now, you lovely people. Forza Livy, hope to see you next week. Did Panto once. I can do this.